Ronald Waddell, a prominent political activist, journalist, and talk show host, met a tragic end on January 30, 2006. He was gunned down execution-style in the driveway of his seaside home on the Rupert Craig Highway in Georgetown, Guyana. Waddell's murder shocked the nation. He was an active member of the opposition People's National Congress (PNC). It was July 2009, nearly 4 years after Waddell's death, in a New York City courtroom, where a well-known lawyer was on trial for tampering with witnesses to help his Guyanese client, a suspected drug lord. But when the former associate-turned-U.S. government associate was called to the stand, he revealed much more than attorney misconduct. It was the drug lord, he said, who had ordered the hit on Waddell. He even alleged that the drug lord had placed a phone call to a government minister after the deed was done. Ronald Waddell was a mainstream journalist with the state-owned Guyana Chronicle in the early 1980s. He migrated to the U.S. thereafter, and on his return in the early 90s switched to the privately owned mainstream Stabroek News newspaper before starting a daily television talk show. He appealed to the young and unemployed, mostly Afrocentric section of the population in Guyana. His daily show dealt with attempts at empowering young people. It was around this time that he also began to chronicle the extrajudicial killings of about 400 young people by way of a death squad. Then National Security Minister Ronald Waddell had said the squad was necessary to fight gang violence because regular police officers were running scared as more than 24 of them had been killed in shootouts. Waddell made it a crusade to highlight such incidences, which he labeled a government-sponsored genocide of the country's youths. While the majority of the dead and the missing were Afro-Guyanese, there were others of other ethnic origin. His last appeal before he died in a hail of bullets on January 30, 2006, was for the Afrocentric population to spend their limited resources at outlets that support their development and that of their communities. Waddell was headed to his seaside home when he got out of his car to open his gate. Gunmen were alerted to his return, arrived on the scene and opened fire on him. It was determined that at least 3 AK-47 were used in the attack. Not much came of the investigation Waddell's death. A few known characters were held but were let go after a few days. One man, whom the police had picked up as the driver to the gang that shot Waddell, was found dead on the outskirts of the city. One day after he was released by the police, the drug lord had made a plea deal with the U.S. and thus, no evidence was availed from him directly. But an informer and self-confessed member of the gang, one Selwyn Vaughn, became a witness for the U.S. prosecution in the Simmels case. He told us Judge John Gleason on July 28, 2009, that he had been the lookout on the seawall opposite Waddell's residence and informed the drug lord that Waddell had just arrived home and was still in his car at the gate. He said he remained on the seawall when the vehicle with the other members of the gang, known as the Phantom Squad, arrived and shot Waddell. Vaughn was not held by the police in Guyana in 2006 as they investigated Waddell's death. Vaughn also told the U.S. court that after the killing he, along with the killers and the drug lord, went to a Georgetown nightclub to celebrate. It was there that he said he overheard the drug lord phone then health minister to instruct him to let Waddell die. This is all information that emanated from Simmels' trial. Simmels was convicted in December of 2009 and is serving a 14-year sentence. Vaughn is currently in the U.S. Witness Protection Program. The media fraternity kept asking whether the revelations in the U.S. court could use to bring charges against those Vaughn named. 3 were former police officers living in Georgetown. The police said that was not possible and that Vaughn would have to swear to that information in a local court. This was an article from the International Press Institute. This happened in Georgetown, so shout out to Guyana.